I'm going to have a quick interview with another of Jamaica's Olympian who she did it in an era when she was just doing it for the love of the country. She wasn't being paid. She competed in an era when there was no money. This is Olympian Vilma Charlton, 1964, 1962, 1964, 1968, and 1972. Help me welcome one of Jamaica's gem, Miss Vilma Charlton. Olympian Miss Vilma, welcome.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks for having me.
How are you enjoying the championship so far?
It's mixed emotions, but I do understand that we're at the stage when we're changing the guard.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. But just before we touch on you competing at the Olympic Games back in the day, what are your thoughts on what happened with Shelley and Fraser Price and Sha'Carri Richardson yesterday?
Well, we don't know the details. Even the executive, they're still working through the details. So I really don't want to say anything until I actually know the facts. But my feeling is that her warm-up time got shortened because they were so-called locked out of the warm-up area because of the changes in security. And each athlete has a set way of warming up, and it cannot be rushed. So I just suspect that she was rushing her warm-up, and she felt something. And even though we think that she is going to be retiring, nobody wants to retire with an injury because that can plague you for life. So
exactly.
She was protecting herself.
So as an athlete yourself, tell us a little bit about when you first made an Olympic team for Jamaica back in 1964. What was it like for you? What was the feeling like for you?
Well, it was really crazy because we were only 4 girls who went to run the relay only. 1 person, 2 persons did individual events. But can you imagine going with 4 girls, no reserves? So we were just fortunate that we got to the semifinals. And that was it.
And I'm glad that you touch on the reserve, because how important is reserves when going to a championship?
Well, it's even more important nowadays because you have a lot more rounds. People are running faster. In our time, we could get by with 4, maybe 5. And actually, 4 was a risk because somebody could have been injured. I remember that morning it was terrible for me because everybody had already graced the track, and I was the only one, so I was very nervous. And I felt it in my stomach, but thankfully we competed.
What was it like competing for country when the sport was at an amateur status? No money was being paid, limited contract. What was it like for you?
Well, for me, that's the least, because even this morning, Ruth and I were talking, and we just wondered, how is it that we have such a bond with our fellow athletes from those days? And I'm not sure I'm seeing the same bond amongst them because the rivalry is so strong.
Yes.
But we are still friends. And so for me, money is never all. One thing I'm happy about is that I got my education, which I couldn't pay for. And the opportunities that I got while running, traveling to many different places of the world, and just experience at college.
Yes.
And even now, I still have some college friends. So I value those moments a lot.
You were a member of the 1972 team to the Olympic Games. That Olympic Games, there was some tragedy where terrorists had actually invaded the camp and athletes from other countries were killed and stuff. What was it like for you being there and hearing that happened?
It was very sad because I believe the men who were there were next door to the Israelis.
Right. Yes.
You remember alphabetically to HIJ, you know?
Yes.
So they were close to the Israelis, and it was very It was traumatic, I would say. They weren't saying much, but so we were just hearing snippets of things that one person got killed because the Israelis, the Black September movement went in on the Israeli athletes and killed them. And I had the opportunity to go back to Germany,
Yes.
In Munich,
Yes.
Munich there, and we had a tour. I went on to a seminar, a sports seminar, and to this day the rooms are still closed. I guess it's a tourist attraction. The whole building is rented out because, as you know, for the games they build these apartments and then afterwards the
Right.
city uses them.
Right.
And so they just have in memoriam of the two persons that died in there.
Wow. So how was Team Jamaica able to regroup after hearing that terrorists invaded camps and people were killed?
Well,
how were you guys
it
able
was
to regroup?
difficult not only for Jamaica but for the other countries too. In fact, I think Phelps, he flew home immediately. I don't think he finished the competition. But we just had to regroup, but it was traumatic. And I can tell you, the games are not the same.
The games are not the same.
No.
What's the difference now than when you were competing
Okay.
in the 60s and 70s?
The security. The security is so tight that you can't walk around like you used to and visit your friends in different quarters. Especially if you have a badge and you left it in your room, you can't go anywhere without that.
Without
you
your
know?
badge.
Yes.
And I think it is for security reasons to protect the athletes from different parts of the world, different countries.
We understand that.
Protocol is fine, and I'm wondering if that was what caused Shellyan and Shakari to get in that fiasco, because they were not staying within the camp. But the rules changed that they had to stay. They did not get the information. And of course, the
Yes.
drama that unfolds.
That was unfortunate. And with security, the little knowledge that I have here in Jamaica running, officiating in champs, for example, and national championships, it's not unusual for security to change plans overnight.
But you have to
at the
communicate it.
Olympic Games, the chef de mission has a meeting every single morning. And it's usually early, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. And whenever there are changes, they are informed. So I'm not sure if there was just a breakdown in the whole plan.
So with what happened, who would you say dropped the ball in terms of?
Oh, I can't say, because I don't know if they were informed.
Okay.
And so I can't say Jamaica dropped the ball, because
Okay.
it happened to USA too.
Yes, it happened to
Because she was
Shakari.
there.
She was affected.
Yes, but I will tell you, a similar thing I saw going around YouTube, that Bolt was coming to one of our championships one day and nobody recognized him.
Nobody recognized
Right.
him, yeah.
And I'm saying this because I have learned something from netball. You see, when they have meets, somebody professional, somebody in the administration is at the gate,
Yes.
so that nobody like myself and you would be turned back, because they would know you.
Right,
You
and that's what
can't-
I'm saying.
You can't put a gate man, full stop.
Right, I'm saying people who represent your country should be national treasure. You guys are national treasure to the country. So even if you want to get into a venue and you have your accreditation, or you might left it in your car, somebody should be able to say, okay, this is
yes.
Miss Vilma Charlton.
We don't-
She is an Olympian.
Yeah. We don't do a lot
We don't-
of that.
we don't treat-
But I can credit Netball Association for doing that.
Yeah, we don't treat our track and field athletes like they're a big
Yeah.
deal. You know, we don't treat you guys like you are a big deal. We don't give you access. You know, and do you think we celebrate you guys enough as a country?
Well, sometimes we say yes, sometimes we say it's okay, but when I look at other countries, they're up there. And in discussing with Ruth today, I'm going to suggest that somebody like Shellyan, I think I'd suggested maybe...
We need to have a send.
Yeah.
Well, she's not retiring.
No,
but this is
somebody
her last
like
Olympic game.
when she retires,
Yes.
I would like to see her go with the team. I think I said it when Merlene retired. Merlene never spoke a lot, but she could say things to them that
Yeah.
the
I don't
average
think
person would not
I don't
get
think
to say.
Merlin, I don't think we've given Merlin Otti anything. I don't think Merlin Otti got the recognition that she deserved. Merlin put us on the medal table as women.
Yeah,
She's the
yeah.
first woman to win an Olympic medal at the 1980 Olympic Games, a bronze medal in the 200. Merlin Otti has been to more Olympic Games than anybody in the history of track and field. 7 times, 6 times for Jamaica
Yeah.
and 1 time for Slovenia. Do you think we need to celebrate you guys more?
Well, I guess they will say
Miss
when
Vilma,
you're
please
not
say
here.
yes.
We could and we should, but when you're not in the space, it is difficult.
But we have athletes in the space that
Here
we
in
are
Jamaica,
not
that's
celebrating.
true, that's
because
true.
I still don't think that we are celebrating Usain Bolt enough the way we
Yeah,
should,
that's
you know,
true.
celebrate Usain Bolt, Elaine, Veronica,
Yeah.
all of you guys, everybody,
Well,
Dion
it's
Hemmings.
different. It's different. Other countries do.
Other countries do it. We
Yeah.
treat our Olympians
Yeah.
like they are okay. So
But-
you run at the Olympics,
Well,
so that's good.
I'm not. Sometimes you feel disappointed.
You
but
should be
I'm not fazed by it because I got so much out of track and field. I want to do something that others can get out of track and
And my
field.
last question to you is that over the years, our athletes have been going through a lot with the federation and things. Do you think Jamaica track and field athletes should have an association, athletes association that can represent them, that can be a go-between
There
between
is a
them
group.
and
There is
the
a group,
foundation?
and Freighter represents.
There
us.
is a group for
Yeah,
that?
it's worldwide. It's not local. So from the worldwide group, they can form an association if they wish to.
Please,
If they wish
athletes,
to.
if you're watching, if you're listening, you need to form an association
But-
because I've seen so many of our athletes go through stuff and they have to fight their battle on their own. The latest one was Nayoka Clunis, who unfortunately is not in Paris, even though she made the team. She got her spot based on ranking. Nobody to represent her, you know. And other athletes, Taekwondo Tracy last year with that situation. There's no go between the athletes and the federation for representation so that the athletes can get some justice or something.
Yeah, well, there is an organization for the athletes now, and Freighter was the first when it was first formed.
What's the name of that organization, Ms. Vilmont?
It's the Athletes Association. I can't remember.
Athletes
Yeah,
Association. I'm not
yeah.
sure if
Organization of Athletes. 365 athletes.
365
yes.
athletes. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to do some
Athletes,
research
whatever.
on it. But one last question. I did say one last question, but one last question, Ms. Vilma. With what you're seeing now with the Olympic Games, is the first Jamaica has not been on the podium for the women in the 100 meter for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yes, even before the game starts, a number of us were feeling that it wasn't going to be as good
It
as
was going to
in
be
the
tough.
past. And we have to recognize that it is the changing of the guard. And so I wouldn't beat up on anybody right now. It is the changing of the
Okay.
guard, and it's going to take time. What we will have to learn later on is how we get into the stream earlier and not wait until people retire.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
We need to have a feeding
Yes,
program. We
yes.
need to have a
It's
program in the
there.
back.
It's there,
It's
but
there,
it just came on stream, let's say. Last year, the youngsters who are making the team now,
Yeah.
they just finished high school, so it's still early days.
Yeah, I think we
But,
get so used to seeing
right.
Elaine and Shelly and Sharika. We think that the trio
Yeah.
is going to be there forever, but
yeah.
they're actually
the
phasing out.
Yes, we should have started our building.
Yeah,
but
we should
Francis,
have, yeah.
Francis and MVP Club, they do a good job at that.
Yes. But Miss Vilma Charlton, guys, the 800 meters. Oh wow, that is the 800 meter semifinal. That was the 800 meter semifinal. That
Yes, and
noise.
unfortunately, I think our girl did not make it.
That's not Toya.
Yes,
She did not make
she was
it.
in the first one.
Yeah. But she did well. You know,
Yes,
she did
she
well.
did
She
well.
did well. She did well. She did well.
But,
But Miss Vilma,
I'm just saying that everybody now has to step up. The competition
Yes.
is tough.
Yes.
Really, really tough.
Yes, yes. And we need to start looking in other events too. We need to
Oh, but
spread
we are
our
doing
wings.
that. We're
The
doing
field
that.
is doing well. Now we
Yeah.
need to start doing some work on the middle and long distance so
Oh,
that
we would have to send our athletes to Africa.
no, but I think we can do it at home, Miss Vilma. I think what we need to do is to create a space
We
that
don't have.
our
We
800
don't have to
meter.
go to the mountains because it all has to do with the altitude training, etc.
Well, that we could do. We
So
could set up
there
a
was
base.
talk. There was talk about
There
it.
has
I
always
think.
been talk.
Yeah, the Africans, a group from Africa, South Africa, or I can't remember
If
which
I
one.
get the
Ethiopia.
support, if I get the support, I would head this program in Kenya. I would go
Yeah,
to
I
Kenya.
think I think we did get a visit from Kenya, or they visited us on
We need a
some
camp
other,
there. We need a camp there.
and they said they would help us.
Yeah,
so-
we need a camp there. We need to be able to fly our athletes there who are interested in the middle and long distance to be able to host them, to feed them, to look after them while they're there. And then a part of the year, a section of the year, they come to Jamaica and, compete.
Yeah.
But we need to do
Yes,
something.
but
Miss Vilma.
unfortunately, many of our athletes are school athletes. They're
Yes,
students,
so when
so
they
they
leave high
can't.
school,
Well,
we would channel them in that system.
if they don't go abroad on a scholarship,
Right.
You know,
Because a lot of
so
them not
we would
going
have
abroad.
to. Well, that's true. Those
Yeah.
who are here, and everything is a cost too, because even to send them there, you'd have to keep them for 3 or 4 months.
But can't we do a
I'm
barter
fine.
system with Kenya where we said, okay, we want to set up a base here, but we need your help and we will give you this. I don't-
Support in
Everything
the
is about
sprints.
collaboration now.
Yes, well, there are some countries that do that. There are some countries.
Yeah, we
that are
need to
here.
really start
In the
having
region
that
especially.
conversation.
In the
Because we
region.
have the youngsters who are leaving primary school, prep school, going into the high school, but after they leave high school, there's no system for them to say, okay, I want to go to this club or that club to continue improving on my middle or long distance. We have a lot of sprints clubs, so when athletes leave high school, they can say, I want to go to MVP, I want to go to racers, I want to go to elite, I want to go there. But for 800 people, there's really
Yeah.
no place for
A
them.
few of the clubs, but because remember the club system is new for us. It's started in 2008 when MVP, and it is growing.
It is growing,
It
yeah.
is growing, and we have the field events. I'm so proud of the field events.
Yeah, the field
medals,
is doing well,
because
yes.
we now have development meets for field events
yes.
only.
Yes,
And
yes.
it can go all day. Field
Yes.
events, so it's growing.
Good. Miss Vilma, Olympian, guys. This is Miss Vilma Charlton. I'm sure most of you would have seen her at the stadium. She's still involved in track and field. She is a 3-time Olympian, 1964, 1968, 1972. Miss Vilma Charlton, it was a pleasure having you. I call them the Jamaica Gems. Miss Charlton.
Thank you, Miss Heather. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Guys, guess who is in the building with HP Chat Track and Unseen Sports TV? We have the big man himself, Mr. Team Jamaica Bickle. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Great. In fact, it's so happy to be with you. It's been a while. The last time we were in the virtual space. So it's great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are here in the space. It is Jamaica Independence. It is the Olympic Games. You have been what you would call one of the backbone of the development of Jamaica track and field. Just tell me how you're feeling right now with what you're seeing happening in Paris.
I'm elated. I'm elated from the standpoint because, as you know, it's Team Jamaica for the past over 15 years or more. We have included our Caribbean brothers and sisters. And to watch not only Jamaicans do well, but the Caribbean, especially from the OECS, it is awesome because many of those athletes are alum of Team Jamaica Vicar.
Indeed.
So it is like a great feeling. It demonstrates that from this section of the world that has been so impacted by so many things, that yet we're producing at a higher caliber. And even France.
Indeed.
So the point here is that we are grateful. We are happy that we found ourselves in a situation where we're able to
to assist. And as I've always said, Jamaica finds itself in a position where it is at the pinnacle of track and field. It is our obligation to help our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, and it's paying off.
It is. It is. Your organization just celebrated 30 years. Am I right? 30 years. Just tell me a little bit about the emotions that you felt yesterday when Jamaica could not do it in the women's 100 meter, and another Caribbean young lady who attends high school in Jamaica ran at the Jamaica High School Championship, won that gold medal.
And in fact, we hosted her several years at Penn, so it was awesome. It is part of the whole Caribbean experience, and I hope that our leaders recognize this, because I know our Prime Minister was probably as happy as a lark, because it's as a St. Catherine. Right. So what it demonstrates is that yes, though we may be different islands, we're from a region where we should be working closer together, and more importantly, is that we now must recognize that when we put more infrastructure and resources into sports, these are the moments that it allows us to reap, plus the benefits that comes economically.
Exactly. We expected to win medals yesterday from the track, but instead we earned the medals from the field. The women's triple jump, it was a Caribbean affair.
It was, and here goes again, Dominica. Who would have thought that on a day when Jamaica was not on the pinnacle of the pedestal, we had two islands, Dominica and St. Lucia, that would occupy those space, ahead of even the great United States. So so that is kudos for us. It is kudos for our administrators. It is kudos for our coaches, because yes, in general and in totality, we are competing higher above our pay scales when you consider the resources that we have at our behest.
Indeed. You cater to hundreds of students every year at the Pens Relay. How do you do it?
It's a labor of love. And once it's a labor of love, it means that there's a lot of passion that goes into it. Passion also is instrumental in how we go about our business and how we raise funds and how we go out and make things happen, because we truly believe in what we do. We are committed to it, and I have to at all times give kudos to the folks who I have the privilege of working with. These are professionals, they're entrepreneurs, these are the average person who collectively come together at the table in the tent and recognize that the number one responsibility we have is to our athletes or ambassadors.
Indeed. Track and field is a sport that involves track events and field events. Of course, we have been doing, I think it's the first in over 30 years, Jamaica has not been on the podium for the women's 100 meter. The field is catching up. The field is looking good. Our middle and long distance program continues to suffer. What do you think we need to put in place in order to have the young people gravitating to those?
It goes back again to infrastructure and a commitment to those scenarios. I always believe that if you build, people will come.
I agree.
All right? And so there's still a significant amount of space that we could add value to attract more persons to these races. And also to recognize too that we may need additional interventions externally. Because you see, one thing too that Jamaica also now benefits from, and this is something that we are cultivating and promoting. I spend a lot of my time outside of Jamaica. My children were not born here, they were born in the United States. If they were track athletes or they're sports oriented, they have an opportunity to represent Jamaica. We need to be promoting more of that. Because if you see in many of the disciplines where there are no Jamaicans to fulfill, you see many of the folks from outside of Jamaica with Jamaican parentage participating.
Exactly.
And so we need to expand on that. And by expanding that now means that we take away opportunities. It could mean then that we develop it to include more locals to participate. And I believe that's an area that we need to seriously look at.
I totally agree. I was just talking to Olympian Miss Vilma Charlton, and I was saying the same thing to her, that we need to create space that these athletes will know that they have somewhere to go after leaving high school. You don't get a scholarship to go overseas or a scholarship to attend a university here, there is a space that you can go to continue to develop that 800 meters that maybe you're running at high school at 1 minute, say 48 seconds kind of thing. So, as you said, if we create, people will.
Yes, indeed. I strongly believe in that because, you know, it's just like, for example, in Jamaica, we have some of the best coaches in the world. You know, there should be a mechanism in place to promote that by itself.
Yes.
Because, you see, those kind of skill sets and services, there are many folks over the world that yearns for them. And I believe that that industry needs to be built out. Because when you build it out, it means in that there's opportunities for economics. It's about the business of sports.
Yes.
You know?
I'm happy that you use the word business. I keep
Yes.
saying that. The business
Of sports.
Of sports.
You see, and I've always continued to say this, that the welfare of our athletes is about the business of sports. The business of sports is about the welfare of our athletes.
Indeed.
They go hand in hand.
Yes.
You know, so we can't just sit here on occasion at least and just wave on and carry on and enjoy
And take
ourselves.
pictures
Yeah. We have to make sure that we're nurturing the root so that we can in turn enjoy the fruit.
Exactly.
You see, and enough of that is not taking place. We're trying to pick fruit that we have no participation in making it happen, but we are there. We must find a way to put a toll gate on all those who are jumping on the bandwagon right now.
Indeed. Do you think we celebrate our athletes enough?
No, we can never celebrate our ambassadors enough. There's always room to do that. But we must do so in a strategic way that is fulfilling and also creates opportunities. You know, just to say that you have a big parade and everybody comes out and drink a food. That's not what I'm talking about. How do we make it such that it becomes a legacy scenario?
Legacy,
you see,
my word.
so that people now can recognize that there's a pathway and a future for them in that scenario. Because it's a career, you know.
It is.
It may be a short career, but it is a career, and a career that can be that has proved to be very successful for many.
Indeed. How much credit would you give to Champs for where we are now in track and field?
A lot, because Champs, you know, let's put Champs in perspective, you know, because it's the Olympics, the pen relays, and then Champs. So therefore we have to understand that Champs is this area here is the mecca for our young people. You see, and the question now is, how do we now further leverage Champs? You know, it's not just about a school winning Champs, but how do we take and ensure that the mass of students step up to the plate and can participate. There should not just be participation or enthusiasm to grab an athlete from over there. No. How do we make sure that infrastructure is over there so that we can have more athletes coming from over there to come here? You know, it cannot just be concentrated in one area. Jamaica has a plethora and a wealth of athletes and young people who, given the opportunity, can be world beaters.
Indeed. My last question to you is, should we open up the doors for international students to come here for school and compete at Champs?
All right.
Should we put a limit on the amount of international students we're bringing in?
There has to be a limit, all right? But we should open it up. The reason I say there's a limit, because it's the same thing that occupies other international sports. There's a limit as to how many international players can be in a Premier League team or whatever the case might be.
Okay.
All right? And the same scenario too, there are limitations as to how many students comes into a college. There are limitations. Sometimes it's driven by resources, but sometimes it's just the rules and regs. The question is, though, is how do we ensure that when this takes place, it encourages and it facilitates and build our local infrastructures and students? Because in some of those cases too, economics also flow with that, and we can't forget that, because it takes cash to care.
Indeed.
You can tell me how much you love me and you care for me, but if you don't have the cash to make it happen, it's not going to happen. So in some cases, that becomes also a economic pipeline. You understand me? And at the same token, it helps to develop and build the brand. So we have to look at it from those perspectives, not just about to say they're going to block this man from doing X, Y, Z. If the opportunity is there, just as how our kids and your kids, you'd want to aspire to go to other places, we also recognize that there are others who would like to come here.
Indeed.
There must be a facility in place, a structured facility in place for it.
Indeed. And with that said, next year, just tell us a little bit about your plans for Pens Relay next year, because before you know it, It is
I
here
know,
again.
I know. You know, I'm still reveling this year because there's something we did this year that, you know, I have to share because every year we try to we move it to another level. And the level we moved to, we had several levels this year, but one that stood out the most is that how do the nexus of sports and music, especially reggae.
Yes,
And
yes.
this year we're able to take reggae music into that bastion Penrelays, and we actually had reggae music on the field in Penrelays, and it's something that we hope to build on because there's a good nexus, and it's opportunistic, and it's a way to go. The other thing I want to indicate is that we're going to have to find some ways to start getting the word out, especially athletes who will go overseas and get themselves involved in school and all that. We have to keep hammering home the fact about the rules and regulations and how they operate in the new space they find themselves. United States is an open space, but it's a closed space. It's a space that will give you liberal movements, but as an international student, you must understand your restrictions.
Yes, yes.
And I always say this, young people who are aspiring to be in the sports world must realize that, and I can only speak on the United States, that you must make sure that your actions, you protect your interest.
Yes.
And some things you may get away with down here, don't try it in the United States
I
because
agree
it
with
will
you.
have some impact.
We have to educate them.
Yes,
We have to.
yes.
And Daniel England has a foundation that actually have a summit every year to help students who are transitioning
Yes,
from high school
yes.
to international
Yes,
space.
yes.
So
Because
you're right, we
one
need
of the things, one simple thing, shoplifting and
Yes.
picking up something that belong to you,
to you, yes.
it's not you will find yourself in serious
Yes,
trouble, and it will
disgrace
have
will
damage.
come, yes,
Not only
yes.
disgraceful, but in this case, your student visa is imperiled, and the opportunities if you become a professional to enter the United States could be imperiled.
Yes.
So please be mindful of that.
Indeed. And with that said, thank you very much.
And here's your 30th commemorative pin.
Oh, wow, I got a pin that I'm going to pin right here. Team Jamaica.
Thank you very
people.
much.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Th-
Flair.
thanks for having
It was
me.
a pleasure.
Same here.
seeing
Same
you,
here.
And I'll come and hang out with you in a little
Of
bit.
course,
And
track
guys,
is number one in the world.
Yes, track and field.
Track
we
and
we
field.
just keep going. And guys, here, this man, he has been doing so much for track and field, Jamaica, Mr. Sinclair, Team Jamaica Bickle. I've been hearing about this organization for years. And finally, I get to meet the man behind the mission and this successful organization. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We're going to hear how the fans feel about the games that is going on and their opinion. Roman, with me is Roman Stewart. Roman, welcome. Welcome to the set.
Indeed, it's my pleasure to be a part of this forum today. I've really been a fan for quite a long while and was a very low key. But this time I finally decided that I wanted to step it up a little bit and be more active where this mission is concerned.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for being here. But my first question to
Yeah.
you is, how did you get to like the sport of track and field?
Wow. Given the fact that I am an aspirant commentator, and from growing up, I always coming from a household where sports is always the in thing, especially track and field, like how the Olympics is going on now. Everyone in my household will be tuned into the Olympics and getting very patriotic as when we see our favorite, our Jamaican athlete excelling at the best.
Great. Based on what you're seeing now happening at the Olympic
Yeah.
Games, what are your thoughts so far as a fan?
Wow. My own thoughts is that looking at yesterday, many persons will say that it was a bittersweet one because we were expecting to medal in the women's 100 meter, but however, it doesn't get to materialize. But we give thanks that the young sprinter from out of Edwin Allen, Tia Clayton, still able to keep the tradition of having Jamaica a
In the
finalist
final.
in the 100 meter. But however, we must also give heart of gratitude to Shanika Ricketts and Rajinja Campbell for really putting Jamaica on the map with those two magnificent medals. And I will have to say that history has been made once again for Jamaica in the shot put. I don't think it has really been talked much about because of the overwhelming hype of the 100 meter. But I definitely think that where the medal standpoint is at this moment, we are on target, but it's just that it didn't come into the fashion that we expected it to be.
Indeed, indeed. And you spoke about a bittersweet moment. It was a bittersweet moment yesterday for all Jamaicans.
Right.
I'm going to say all Jamaicans.
That's
because
right.
I was on set and I wasn't sure how to control my emotions when when I started learning of what is happening. But let us talk about the field a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't pay enough attention is not paid in the field. There are eight field events.
Yeah.
At Global Track and Field
That's right.
Championship. And so far, Jamaica has been in 6 of them at
Yeah.
the Global Championship. We only need to get to the pole vault
Yeah.
and
True,
the
true.
javelin.
True,
now.
true.
But all the others we have been a part of in Global. How good is that? I mean, the legacy in the field, it is growing.
Yeah, this definitely showing that they now started to see the importance of the fields event. And we must also say kudos to Travis Dacre, who always been very consistent in the discourse coming from his side.
those two, yes.
And we also have to pay tribute as well to Trisha K. Smith, who won us gold in 2005 in Helsinki.
Exactly.
So I think coming from her, I think the inspiration would have really come from Trisha K. Smith coming until now, even though when she retired, we never really see any big major impact from that period.
Well,
but
Kimberly, you know something?
Yeah.
Kimberly Williams, she kept the torch going
yes,
after Trisha.
yes, because she was very consistent,
Yes, she was
by
consistent.
making it into global
Yes,
final. And
yes.
now here comes Shanika Ricketts, who
And Achilles.
and yes, and Achilles Smith. And we also must give credit to Lamar Destin,
There you
who,
go,
who,
hydro.
who was, yes, she, even though she didn't qualify to go through the next round, but what we want to see that a balanced and rounded team in terms of the structure, not only of in terms of the sprinting, but once we see that high level of enthusiasm started to flow all across the areas, such as the fields event, then the elements of success will take its times and comes in. And we also started to see some little bit of provision in terms of the grassroots level started to get a little bit more dedicated where it is concerned. And we have to give kudos to Calabar as well for really emphasizing on the fields event, producing persons like a Travis Michael, who has been a very good ambassador for Jamaica.
And Frederick Dakers
Frederick
also.
Dakers.
Chad Wright.
That's right, Chad
You know,
Wright.
so-
Remember Chad Wright as well won a bronze medal in the World Championship. I think it was in Beijing. It was in Beijing 2015. So we have seen where the fields event has started to improve, but it yet to catch the attention of the people. It's just because we always tend to build ourselves around one set of things.
About the sprints.
Right.
Yes. But we really need to, as a country, as a fan, as a track and field fan like myself, what would you like to see happening with our track and field as it relates from the 100 to even the 5,000, 1,500, 5,000? What would you like to see happening there as a track and field fan?
Well, what I can say is that when I look at the geographic of Jamaica, sometimes it always makes me wonder how is it that we are not being able to produce world-class long-distance runners. And I think if we can be able to maximize on the geographic that we have in terms of the hills and so forth, then we will be able to see the importance. But as we said that, we in Jamaica, we always like to see when people be world beaters first before we set the trend.
Yes.
It's almost a case that we don't believe in setting the trend to create the world beaters. We want to see the world beaters first, and then after we started the foundation.
Exactly.
So I don't
And
think...
it cannot work like that.
No, it cannot work like that.
You have to put in the work if you want the result.
Right. And I think not everybody is going to be the ASAPA as a foundation, because ASAPA actually was the first man to break the 100-meter world record and show us that we can stay on the ground in Jamaica and be world beaters. We don't have to think about to go overseas in order to become world beaters. So what happened is that I think corporate Jamaica as well as to think about to come on board to facilitate this program as well, because we asked to get a solid foundation to show some level of interest, because Latoya Gould rather doing her best to see how she can inspire. Adele Tracy is also there as well. Before them, it was the Yvette Turners and some other set of persons. Ines Turner. Campbell, right? But we have to think about, so there's no question about that the talent is not there. The talent is there. But the question is that, how does we cultivate it? How does we transform it to a different elements to really get persons to feel empowered to do it? Because the truth about it, if you don't have someone there that you can say come from this program and becomes a world beater, then you don't have adequate amount of influence to make a younger generation see exactly what's going to happen.
We need to start paying attention, and we need to invest, because and this is, I'm going off track a little bit about football, as in what some part of the world is called soccer. For football does well in Europe and in
South America.
That's you know why? Academy. They set up academy and filter the children into that academy, and they work on their skill. Hence why South America and Europe can dominate
I
the World
understand.
Cup. And they have the best league, especially in Europe. They have some of the best league in
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I will come up with a significant point that will strengthen your argument even more. Over the period of Usain Bolt dominance, there was so much more that Jamaica could have capitalized on.
Oh my God.
I don't think we really capitalized on that golden era.
None at all.
Here is the opportunity where you have the world at hands, really looking for Jamaica for the inspiration of legends. And I think if they did capitalize it and build an academy of the name of the Usain Bolt Academy, then it could have been way much more better. But what would you do? You will use your strength to develop the weakness. Here is what you're going to do now. In that period, you could have partnerships. See if you could get some partnership with the African countries, right? They have an interest to excel in the sprint. And you want to have an interest to excel in the distance running. So if you both could have traded in that fashion where you delegate some expertise in terms of sprinting to go there and to do some level of programs and the same.
Indeed. We have to, we don't have a vision. I think the problem is that we lack vision.
Right.
We lack vision and we lack passion. The people who are in charge, they either have no vision, no passion, or they don't care.
That's
I don't
right.
know which one of it is,
right.
But it shows that, because as you said, we have not capitalized in the era of
Usain Bolt.
The success that we had with Usain Bolt, you know, Veronica, Asafa, Shelly, and Karen, and all of those people,
that's right.
Ellie Bailey, all those people. You know, we have not. I want somebody to show me one thing that we have improved on. Our infrastructure look the same.
Exactly the same.
I was having a discussion with some people at breakfast this morning, and I was asking them who owned the land at Kirkvine, because Kirkvine is a nice little spot. You can set up a mini stadium that when you have a track and field meet in that area, the community can come out and support the venture. You generate revenue to maintain it. A lot of our Olympians come from Veer Technical, Manchester High School.
Such a rich history.
Such a rich history from South Jamaica.
That's right.
Montego Bay, we have a facility there. It out
Catching
of commission for how long?
All right. And then you mentioned the facilities. You have a facility, a mini stadium that was built for the 2007 Cricket World Cup in
Oh my God,
Trelawney.
don't even talk about an elephant.
Right. I think that's where now you have a different atmosphere in terms of you got something right on the North Coast that you could use as a proper attraction in terms of tourism. So if you could have improved on the infrastructure, remember, Trelawney is where the greatest sprinter on earth is from. Two of the greatest, at least, Veronica Campbell-Brown and Usain Bolt. And of course, you have creditable persons such as a Michael Fritter, who was very consistent in terms of the 4x1 relay. Taekwondo Tracy as well. And you also have
Dorothy Scott Genius, who is one of the first.
and Warren Weir is from there.
Warren Weir is also from there. We have a lot of Olympians. Ines Turner.
Is from
Turner
Trelawney.
sisters are from there also. You know, so
And Mario Forsyth.
Ricardo Chambers is also from there, former quarter miler. So there are so many Olympians. Let me tell you, I think personally, the person who agreed to that stadium to be built in Trelawney, I think they blunder because we are a track and field country. How can you sign off on something like that? No, in this era, if you're building
Right.
a facility, it must be an all-purpose, a multi-purpose.
Right.
Facility so that you can use it for different things.
True, true.
You can generate revenue
Right.
in order to sustain it.
Right.
But one, it is not a multi-purpose.
No.
Because, and the funniest thing is that they did not even have one World Cup cricket match there.
Absolutely
they had
not.
the opening ceremony. I
Only
was at
thing.
the opening ceremony and a few warm-up matches. Not even one World Cup cricket match. And you spend so much money, build that facility, and did not build it without.
Then what was the essence? What was the essence behind it?
I don't know.
What was the essence behind it?
I don't know, it's beyond me, but in Jamaica we need some mini stadiums around Jamaica so that communities can come out and support track and field meets. Because Kingston don't have to drive, go down Manchester
No.
when there's a meet. There's enough people in the community
That's right.
to support the local meet. Western, the same thing. Eastern, right now St. Mary and St. Anne and all of those produce so many Olympians. We're talking about Jackie Pusey. We're talking about
Danny McFarlane. Aileen Bailey.
Dion Hemmings.
Dion Hemmings, that's right.
So
And
many of
Christania Williams.
Christania Williams. So many of them come from the North
That's
Coast
right.
or Central, down that side.
That's right.
I don't know what we're doing or what people are doing. I don't know what they're thinking, but
I think what happened is that we in Jamaica we tend to ride on the success of the athlete, but not thinking about the substance of it.
Yeah.
Because we always try to live in the moment and not try to think ahead.
and that's because we don't have a vision. There's
That's
no
right.
vision.
That's
if
right.
there is a vision, then you will have a short-term plan to take you to that vision. But we don't even have anything like that. Every
Absolutely.
season we come, our track and field look the same. You go to a track meet, it look the same.
It's just the same.
People are not even selling merchandise. You go to a track meet, you can't even get some jerk chicken or some soup. The only place you can go get it at the stadium. Or
One of the weirdest things that you
People
could,
should be selling their merchandise at track and field meet.
you know, what
should
is
be
one of the
renting
most,
booth,
you know, what is one of the most
creating
disgraceful.
jobs for local.
One of the most disgraceful aspect of it is that to hear athlete or in the fields event that represent the country time after time in the Olympics has to be doing a different job.
Yeah, well, our athletes have to leave. I talk to a lot of athletes and they're like, oh, when I leave work, I have to go. Right now I have a whole lot of interviews backed up because some of my athletes, they have to leave work. By the time they leave work and then go training, then go to work, then come back for training.
That's right.
And they're so tired.
Tired.
Sometimes.
So tired. So
We
tired.
need to allocate enough funds to help the athletes who don't have any contract,
Yeah, but-
who are having it hard. Because these are the same athletes who we want gold medal from.
And that's right. That was the reason why when we did have some surprises in the Tokyo Olympics where Usain Bolt was warning the athlete them about knowing their brand. Because,
knowing your brand and knowing what you're
right,
worth.
because corporate Jamaica not going to sponsor an athlete that they don't know nothing
No, but
about,
it's a part,
right?
It's a part of the development. So you see an athlete's training and they're struggling. sponsor them, and sponsorship doesn't mean that you have to give them a big check. You
No.
can say to them, I will pay your rent for the month, I will give you food for the month, I will give you supplement for the month.
Right.
So it's not all about giving them a big check. You can
Right.
do little things to make their journey, as Jillian Alfred said. You hear what you said yesterday in the interview? Thank you, Jamaica, for being a part of the process.
Right.
We just need to be a part of the process. But we have to stop here because time is going and we're going into the 100-meter final. But before we go,
Yeah.
these are the finalists. I want you to do a quick commentary.
A quick commentary.
On how you
No,
think
let me see what's
will
happening here.
go. So guys, he is going to do a quick commentary for us of the 100-meter final that is coming up shortly.
Okay. Welcome to the men's 100-meter final right here in France. It is the moment that we all been waiting for. This is where when the dreams will become reality and legend will be started to be born here. So let's go to the lane draw. In lane 2, Kenny Bednarek of the United States. This young man has seemed to improve immensely in the 100-meter, formerly a 200-meter runner, but he has now stepped down to do the 100-meter, and let's see if that is going to pay it off tonight. In lane 3, Fred Curley of the United States. Fred Curley, a former 100-meter world champion all the way back in Eugene, Oregon in 2022. And let's see if he can rely on that moments of influence to really land him on the podium tonight. In lane 4, the man we all been talking about and longing to see, Kishane Thompson from Micheltown in Clarendon, usually attend the Garvey Maceo High School, ran 9.77 seconds, looking very comforting at the national trials, and in the semi-final he ran 9.81 equally with Oblique Civil, and let's see how he will go here tonight. In lane 5, Akini Simbini of South Africa, and really looking very, very consistent and dangerous. He's in the final, and once you have a lane, anything can happen. In lane 6, Oblique Civil ran 9.81, a personal best for him in the semi-final. He has defeated Noah Lyles twice this year. First at the Jamaica Grand Prix, the Racers Grand Prix at the National Stadium, where he ran 9.82. He ran 9.81 in the semi-final, jointly fast with Kishane Thompson. So let's see how he will go here tonight. Remember, he has placed 4th on 2 occasions at the World Championship. And in lane 7, Noah Lyles from the United States, double world champion last year in Hungary. He won the 100-meter and also the 200-meter, and looking creditable at this point. He ran 9.83, but we know he has an immaculate topping speed, can get him on the podium. In lane 8, the full potential, Lester Tibogo, a young man with great potential. And in lane 9, defending Olympic champion, Lamont Marcel Jacobs is in the final. So it is the moment we all been waiting for. India blocks a go for the men's 100-meter final. All eyes on Kishane Thompson, lane 4, Oblique Civil, lane 6, and Noah Lyles in lane 7. And they are now in set position. And it's a bullet start from Kishane Thompson. So to Oblique Civil, and Kishane Thompson looking very good. Noah Lyles try to come forward, but Kishane Thompson steps on the accelerator and moving toward the finishing line. Oblique Civil try to come forward, but Kishane Thompson explode to the finishing line. 9.62, new Olympics record. A fabulous performance from Kishane Thompson. He gets a bullet start, and he execute a tremendous race to the final of the Olympics. Kishane Thompson is so fabulous and being a superman here tonight. In second place, Oblique Sibel, 9.74, and in third place, Novalize, 9.79. A cracking performance from the Jamaican. Jamaica goes 1-2 in the men's 100-meter final, and the first time since the retirement of Usain St. Leopold, Jamaica has got on the podium and top flight style. You can imagine the rose in Arthur Tree, the massive celebration in Kingston, the massive celebration in Clarendon, and Kishane Thompson and Oblique Sibel has delivered in fantastic style.
With that said, thank you very, very much. That was awesome, awesome. So guys, there you have it. Roman Stewart, he's a track and field fan, a super, super fan like all of us.
To subscribe, like, and share with your family and friends, yard and abroad.
We're running it.